is Zach from Beaver HQ. We're going to do a video of installing the Xenon headlights in an E90 335i. Any E90 with the adaptive Xenon headlights is going to be the exact same process, so this really works for any E90 as long as you have the adaptive Xenon headlights. Here's the bulb right here. This is Osram Sylvania, so this is an OEM bulb. We sell them on our website for about 70 bucks each. Most people will recommend to replace both of them in one because over the years the color will start to get a little bit more blue, and the brand new ones are a little bit more of a whitish yellow color. So a lot of people recommend replacing both at once. However, I'm just going to start with one. If the color is a huge difference, then I'm going to order the other one a couple days from now and then go ahead and replace that one. So all we're going to do is we're going to take this lug nut remover, and the first step here is going to be loosening all these lug nuts here. It's pretty simple. You just need a tool, get it here, and then loosen up the lug nuts. You're going to want to do that before you lift the car at all. So basically what we're doing for this install is we're actually going to pull this whole wheel off, and then we're going to take the fender off, and once we take the fender off we'll have easy access to the headlight cover. We're going to go ahead and pop the headlight cover off, and then after that there's going to be one clip that holds the Xenon bulb in. You pop that clip off, take the old bulb out, and pop the new one in. So it's pretty simple. I mean, the hardest part is going to be getting off the wheel and the fender, and then after that it should be pretty simple. So now we're going to go ahead and actually jack the car up. If you don't know how to jack up an E90, I'd highly recommend that you check out our other video, how to lift up your E90. That'll give you a good overview of how to actually jack it up to get to the step of taking the wheel off, taking the fender off, and accessing your headlights. So here we go. We already have this all set up right here, so we're just going to go ahead and lift it up. And as I mentioned, you want to loosen all those lug nuts before. With the angle of the car being lifted without the weight on the car, the wheel's just going to spin if you try to loosen the lug nuts then, which is why you want to do it before it's actually off the ground. Alright, so now we've got the front wheel completely off here, and we're going to want to take our lug nut remover here and just go ahead and Alright, so now we've got all the lug nuts completely undone, so we're just going to go ahead and pull the wheel off. You can either do that by gripping the spokes right here, or I mean, if you want, you can just do the whole tire. I think it's easiest to just go ahead and pull it off like that. I don't want to set this out of the way. Alright, and now once we're in here, if you look under here, we're going to want to take this whole fender off. I'm doing the passenger side right now, and this was produced in April of 2007, so as you can see there's the oil cooler right here. So there's going to be a couple additional steps if you have these grates on your passenger side. You can see the cooler through here. That means you have an oil cooler, and if you don't have it, you won't have these 4 bolts here to undo, but with it you're going to need to do these 4 bolts. There's going to be one here. It's kind of hard to see them all right here, so but also, as you see here, this little flap, there's going to be bolts under there, under the front bumper. So a couple under there, these 4 here, this one here, and then a couple other bolts down here. If you can see this one all the way back there. Once we start taking these off, you'll get a better idea of where all the bolts are, but Alright, so we're going to start with this oil cooler right here. It's going to be a 8mm bolt. It's pretty easy just on a screwdriver. I mean, they're not on there too tight, so you don't really need a lot of force. Just go ahead and unscrew them. That'll pop out. And there's going to be 4 of them up here, one in each corner. Pretty simple. Okay, so now we're going back to the 8mm socket. Some people say there's a way to get this off without taking off the mud flap here, but I really have no idea how to do that, so I think the easiest way is to just go ahead and take this mud flap off. So there's going to be the 8mm right here, and then one more a little bit further down. Now they look like they're on the front bumper here, which they are, but they're bolted up to the wheel well as well. Alright, so we're going to have another 8mm all the way down here. Alright, it looks like this one's actually going to be on there too. Okay, so yeah, that's it. It turns out there are actually going to be 4 on the front bumper, so you're going to have this one here, another one right here, and then make sure you get this one here, and then this one as well. So that's going to be 4 more 8mm. So right now in total we have 4 8mm here holding on this whole bottom bit. We had the 4 8mm that are holding on the oil cooler there, the 4 various ones up here holding this on, and then also these 2 8 or 10mm that we took off back there. Alright, so there are actually 2 more 8mm you're going to need to take off over here. One of them is right up in here, and the other one's going to be up there. So you're going to need to undo those 2, and then if you can actually look. Alright, so as of right now we have everything removed. This is going to be pretty flexible, so there's no exact way to take it off. You kind of just have to get under here. The main thing is, since this is just a nut, you need to make sure you pop it off right there. So as you can see, it's just hanging loose right here. It's going to be kind of stuck in up there, but just pop that down. Oh. And then this wire right here. If you want more room to work, I mean, you can just put it off to the side. You know, this will kind of come out of here if you work with it. But I just like more room to work, so I'm actually going to go ahead and take that off.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take off the box that the headlight is actually under. It's a box right here. It's held on by 4 clips. 1 clip right here. There's another clip right there. There's one up here in that corner right there. And then the last one's on top. So what I recommend doing is just going ahead and undoing these first 3 right here. You kind of just pull them, push them, or whatever. You can. It's not really that hard to figure out. These 3 aren't the problem. You pull this one down, push this one up, and just pull this one out right here. And then for the 4th one, what you're going to want to do is come on top of the car and go from right here. You can see the 4th clip right here. This one's the one that's actually a pain in the ass. You would think that you push it down, but you actually have to lift it up. So this took us 2 people to do. I mean, well, we needed someone to hold the light, but then you just go ahead and pop it up, and then you can go ahead and reach under here and should be able to wiggle it out. This little pump right here is in the way. Okay, so after we popped that top one off, this 3rd one right here just kind of got stuck back on there, so we just kind of had to come back down here and pop that off again. Once you get that off, it should just easily slide off, and then you can see the headlight right here.
Alright, so you're going to see this clip up here. You're always going to want to push it in towards the front of the car, and if you're doing the passenger side, you're going to push it to the right. If you're doing the driver's side, you're going to push it to the left. So you always want to go inwards and then push it back out away from the car. So not towards the engine, but rather outside of the fender. So on this one, I pushed it in, pushed it to the right, and then it pops right off. So then we're going to get to this step right here. And then you're basically just going to pull out this headlight bulb, pop the new one in, put this connection on it, and then you'll be good to go.
Okay, so once you go ahead and get that clip undone, what you're going to need to do next is remove this little connector piece right here. This one's actually simple, unlike all the other ones on these BMWs. You just go ahead and pull it down, and it should easily come out. And then once you do that, you should be able to just simply pull out the the bulb.
So this is a brand new bulb right here. Now the most important step is do not touch the bulb itself. If you do, it's not a fatal mistake, but you're going to need to clean it with rubbing alcohol and a lint-free cloth. So it's best to just make sure you avoid that bulb at all costs. As I mentioned, it's not awful if you touch it. Just make sure you clean it off properly. Otherwise, it is not going to have proper lighting. So now we're going to go ahead and pop this right back in and get it hooked up.
Okay, so what you want to do is just go ahead and take the bulb and the whole unit with it, and you should see the hole that the bulb goes into. Now, just try to be very careful when you're doing this, not to scratch the bulb on the little hole when you're putting it in there. And you should just push it right in there, and it should just kind of settle in right there. And then after that, the next thing you want to do is take this connector, push it up through there, and go ahead and just push the connector right back onto it. And then after that, just kind of try to push the bulb and the unit in it while snapping back on this connector right here, the harness right there. Go.
Alright, so we got that new headlight bulb installed. We popped the clip back over it. So if you remember popping the clip off, you pushed it in and outwards. So when you're putting it back in, you want to go in again and then push it inwards, and then you'll feel it lock in place. That's the end of that. This cover's pretty easy to put back on. You should hear the top one snap in, but as you can see, these bottom ones are really easy to pop off. So really all you need to do with that is put a little bit of force into it, and as you can see, that's latched back on. If you give it a little force, it pops right back off. So that one's easy to install and take off. So now basically the end of it is just putting this fender back on, bolting it all back up. And originally we were actually going to take off this whole fender just to have a little bit more room to work with. But in the end we realized that was kind of unnecessary. We had all the room we needed to work with right here. So just an FYI, you do need to take these two bolts off because it holds this fender down underneath it. So this one and this one right here. But this 10mm bolt that we took off back here, as well as this one and the one down here, those are all unnecessary as you do not have to take this fender off. So that pretty much completes our DIY video. Remember, check out Beamer HQ to get your wholesale parts, and we sell these headlights for around $70 each.